So I just come out of my apartment and standing at the bus stop was 3 15-year-old girls, and every one of them of course is looking into their phone, and I'm like, oh my goodness, what would you do without them? And they're like, I said, could you live? They went, no. I think there's a lot of truth in that, people. I have seen grown men, I'm speaking about men my age, lose their phones and become absolutely stricken with panic. They physically shake and tremble and their nervous system implodes. It literally is like they are watching the moon encroaching on Earth and their days are numbered. It's incredible. Absolutely unbelievable. I was out with a female friend, let's say about a year ago, a friend that I used to go walking with her lovely little dog, and all of a sudden she realised that she never had a phone with her, and that was it. Everything came to an end. She had to call off the walk, she had to get back into her car, she had to go home, follow her footsteps, she had to find that phone. I'm like, what is in that phone? The soul's in that phone, isn't there? It's the human soul that's in that phone, because they don't have anything in their heads. They put it all in the phone. All their pictures, all their life, all their favourite moments, all their contact details, all their likes and subscribes. It's all in that little gadget. And when that little gadget goes missing, well, it literally is like they realise that their soul has taken a vacation. Their soul has just decided to up and leave. Wow, people. Now look, this is very important. For lots of reasons, of course. So I put up this video a day ago, was it yesterday or the day before? I don't know. Maybe a couple of days ago, and it had supernatural in the title, and I'm saying we are supernatural beings, and that video has the most hits any of my videos have ever had in such a short period of time, like over 1,000 hits, and like 50 thumbs up, and I've had 50 new subscribers within a couple of days. And that also is new territory for my channel. So I have to look at that and I have to go, well, there's a market for that. There's a market for the realization, reiteration, explanation, discussion about us and what we really are. Supernatural entities, people. Supernatural entities. And this is really, really powerful, and it's coming about, in my estimation, because the world is being so compromised. You see the devil? Can you hear the devil? He was just waiting there for me to go by before he pulled that cord on the lawnmower, and he was waving and smiling at me while he did it, saying, I'm the devil, it's me. Well, I come in many shapes and forms, but here I am doing it again. Doubtless somewhere along the journey there'll be a fucking leaf blower or a chainsaw or something. What's the case? So what's happening, people, in our modern times, and I was going to make a separate video about this, but I'll include it in this one now, is simply this. I've been saying ever since I started making videos, there's no truth, this is 14, 15 years ago, because of my intuition, because of the vast travel I've been on around this world. For new viewers, I've travelled 45 countries, lived in many of them, and travelled many times to many of them. So I've been a prolific global traveller, and I've done this on my own, and I've done it in the name of exploration. So I've had a few experiences, and meeting a million people and spending hundreds of thousands of hours on YouTube constantly over this past 15 years, I have reached several conclusions. In that there is no truth out there. And we all know that if we look into something long and hard enough, we will metaphorically reenact the Ouroboros, which is the ancient symbol of the snake eating its own tail. We will, starting off at one point with one view and one knowledge base, when we delve deeper and deeper and deeper, we will go full circle until we eat our own tail. This is with absolutely everything you care to study. In recent times I've been speaking about the depths of investigation into the nature of Christ, Jesus Christ, and how there's literature out there which has him down for being a drug addicted, child procuring paedophile, which of course is the polar opposite to what billions of people have been told forever and ever. But that literature apparently is there, and scholars are now discovering it and speaking about it, and so everything's there, people. It's all there. There can't not be just one side of everything. I mean, if we look at, say, like the concept of Jesus, the being God, the Son of God, the highest of the high, the most benevolent and loving and caring, and all the wonderful facets of a human being, well, there has to be a polar opposite, isn't there? And it has to take a human being form, just like Jesus took a human being form. But where do we see these entities? We don't see them anything like the manifestation of the wonder and the glory of Jesus. Where is the opposite? Well, they can't find the opposite. They could say Hitler, they could say Genghis Khan, they could say people of that ilk, Stalin, who were very nefarious and didn't care for life and those sort of things. And okay, maybe they are the opposites. But instead of really doing that, then they invent other archetypes. The archetype of the devil, people, is an invention. It's an archetype invented by man over millennia, over thousands of years, because men always knew that there were polar opposites to this dimension. It is a paradoxical cosmos, and everything is a complete and utter paradox, and there is no truth in relation to there being something which is absolutely dependent. We can't depend on anything, because every single thing will have its polar opposite, and it will be proven to be erroneous. Only if we look for it, people. Only if we look for it. But you see, people like Christians and Muslims, they don't want to look for the polar opposites. That's why they just remain in their dogma of whatever scripture they have been indoctrinated into reading and believing in. But aside from all of that, which is the main reason why people, the human being, the human race, is becoming so out of sorts with itself from a psychological perspective, is because now we have been introduced to all the polar opposites. In the old days, we were told this, we were told that, and unless we really went hunting in ancient dusty books, we would never come upon the information to dispute or discount what we've been told. But now, with the world's information at our fingertips, we can be privy to this stuff just at the press of a few buttons. And when we press these few buttons, people, then we will enter into other worlds, and we will have our paradigms completely shifted, and we will be presented with the complete polar opposite to that with which we have been in a belief of for many, many years, maybe all of our lives. And that, for most people, is too shocking. That's why they don't want to go there. That's why they will fight vehemently any opposition to their belief system. Because at the end of the day, people, this whole world, this whole life is completely 1,000,000,000% seated in belief. Because there is in actual fact nothing here. It's all Maya, it's all illusion, it's all delusion. There is in actual fact one thing only that we could depend on, and that is this notion of consciousness. There is something which seems to be conscious and has the ability to think and intellectualize and use its intuition or its powers of cognition and intelligence, all these sort of things. There's something going on, and this is what the French philosopher of the 1600s said. I think, therefore I am. Because he proved to himself, he discounted every single one of his senses, because they're all fallible. But the only thing he couldn't take away was the fact that there was something thinking. So he said, I think, therefore I am. But the human being isn't the thing that is. That's the fiction also, along with all the other fiction. So there is no I. So there is no I which is thinking, and therefore I must be. No, that's a part of the delusion and illusion as well, people. When you go deeper than that, into the realms of pure consciousness, pure awareness, you see at the root of everything. Some of you maybe have experienced this thing, when you can be absolutely detached from the world, from you as a human being and everything, and all you are is awareness. Awareness of what? Just awareness of awareness. There is absolutely nothing there except awareness of awareness. Out of the awareness comes awareness of consciousness, that there is an entity that is conscious, and we come back online and go, oh, I'm this being and I'm conscious. But that is just a part of the fiction, because the whole cosmos is born out of the dream within the mind of consciousness, call it God. And I've done many videos in relation to this. For all of you new viewers tuning in now, on this channel alone I have over 800 videos, and over 15 years I've had about 8 YouTube channels, some of which I've just deleted myself, half of which have been deleted by YouTube for me contravening their safety policies, because I've been speaking about psychedelics, entheogens, the non-reality of things like the COVID virus and all that stuff. There's many things that the state don't want promulgating, and people like me, well, of course we're going to speak some so-called truth about that. At the very least, we're going to say that what they're telling you isn't any truth, isn't any reality. Now, I'm the first to tell my viewers that I don't believe that there's any truth in any shape or form outside of the fact that consciousness is. I am that I am. That's all that's in existence. Everything else is a projection onto the blank canvas of the cosmos. So, getting back now to what I was alluding to at the beginning of this video, is that people are attracted to the notion of being supernatural beings. Why is that? Because there's such a vast influx of information which tears everything to pieces. It doesn't matter where you look, in religion or in science or in the ontological facets of what it is to be a human being. We can tear it all apart, we can trash it, every single bit of it. And so what happens when we do that? The human being, the human psyche becomes disturbed. It becomes fragile and destabilized, and it wants to look for something which is more solid and more dependable. It's looking for something which is dependable. That's why many human beings, they seek after a religion, because the religion will give them what they want. It will give them the security, and what they will have to do if they want the security of a religion is to throw out their rational minds and their reasoning and their logic and their investigative nature. Whatever it is, you can't be a scholar of any description, because if you are, then ultimately you are going to be presented with information that you're not going to like. And for the life of me, I struggle with Christian and Muslim scholars who never seem to come upon the realization that what they have a vehement belief in is just the same as what other people believe in, only in the polar opposite. Now, if you've got people like Satanists or atheists or whatever, and they're absolutely positive that what they believe is so, and then you've got religious people who are absolutely positive that what they believe is so, well, they both can't be right, can they? They both can't be right if there's truth. But everybody can be right if there's no truth. If there's only fantasy and only self-delusion, and that's what many of my videos are consisting of. There is only fantasy and self-delusion, people, because the human being, this experience, it cannot exist without the fantasy and self-deception, because there is, in actual fact, nothing here, save for belief. Now, when people start to get their psyche destabilized, they will start to want to look for something with more of a root. And so Christians and Muslims and other religions, they may feel comfortable in these times now, and we can see that they are feeling more comfortable, and they are saying, the Bible told us about this, the Quran told us about this, the devil or the jinn, they're going to be coming for everybody, they're going to be destroying everything, this is the end times, so we've got to stick fast to our faith. And if people stick fast to their faith, then they've got no reason to investigate into the ways of the world. If they just settle within their minds and hearts that is the reality, and when this body dies, their body, then they will go to paradise or heaven. But for those of us who don't have that conviction, we are more open-minded and we are more rational and reasonable, then we look into the spiritual facet and not the religious. So this is why the supernatural, I'm suggesting, is becoming more prominent in people's minds, because they can find some sort of salvation in the supernatural. Because if they have some sort of inkling or a surety or intuition that they are supernatural beings, then all of their worries are over. You see, because it doesn't matter what happens in this dimension, they are supernatural, God-conscious beings. They're eternal, and this is just a dream, and this is a fiction, or this is a playground, or a school, or all these sort of things for spirits. And these stories have been told for millennia, and in their own right, they all sound quite reasonable. Who knows what's here, people? But what I can say, from my experience of being 61 years on this planet, is that I am not only this physical body, and I am absolutely convinced that this physical body is a self-delusion, because being versed in human psychology and philosophy and ontology and science in many realms, and life in general, there's many things that have told me that I am not the body. And when you leave the body, when your consciousness leaves the body, and you go into the astral planes, or you see devils and demons and angels and all different sorts of things like this, and just beings in general, whether you're taking entheogens or whether you're having just spontaneous supernatural experiences like I've had, and my book is filled with all these things. And so for any of you that are really interested in my journey through the supernatural cosmos, I have two titles to my book. One is Closer to God, which was the original title, and God is being me, us, consciousness. God is consciousness, that's in my estimation. That's what my experience tells me throughout all these 61 years, that God ultimately is that which is ineffable, unknowable, indescribable, and all that sort of thing. And so what is, let's say, one, if not the biggest unknown to human consciousness? It's consciousness itself. I mean, human beings, we're endowed with something that we haven't a single clue what it is. How isn't that weird? Do you think that's weird, people? Nobody has a single clue. Billions of people can speculate where it comes from and maybe what it is, and write stories and make movies about it. But nobody could tell the next man convincingly what it is. It's a phenomenon that we appear to have, and even when we use words like "we appear to have it," well, I would say that consciousness has the human being. Consciousness has the trees. Consciousness has the world. Consciousness has the cosmos. Consciousness has everything within it. I am that I am. It's all one. It's all the genius mind of cosmic consciousness. That's what we are, that's what we're dealing with, and we are just looking at, discussing with and arguing with reflections of ourselves at the end of the day. And when all human beings have different notions and different thoughts and biases and belief systems and everything, it's just different facets of the same diamond, people. It's just different facets of the same thing. It's just different ways of the cosmos looking at itself, and it's a wonderful, incredible thing. And so, for those of you that are interested and intrigued and inspired by that term, the supernatural, well, I would, beseech you to continue on your journey of investigation into the supernatural. Because the more you investigate, the more you'll be convinced that you are a supernatural being. And the only thing actually here is the supernatural. Nothing is, as it appears to be. That's why the Buddhists have called it Maya for thousands of years. It isn't what we think it is. And whether you believe that there's any physical matter here or not, like quantum physicists have been telling us for over 100 years that there isn't in actual fact any physical matter. And yet, what we experience defies that. So there's a facet of our cognitive process which defies the supposedly the most intelligent people on the planet, some of the most intelligent people. And they haven't been able to refute that there isn't any physical matter here in over 100 and something years. So when one facet of the human race, which are accredited with being super intelligent, tell us that, and then us, dumb fools, milling around, we go, oh, there is physical matter, look, oh, my head hurts. Well, if there's no physical matter, how come my head hurts? Well, if you ever look into hypnosis, if you ever, become a hypnotist like I am, and if you educate yourself into that realm where people can be very easily deceived, we've all seen shows on the TV or on YouTube of people being suggested one thing and they're absolutely in the belief of it, and then they can prick them with pins and they can burn them even with lighters, and they don't feel it because they are being told something different. And so it just goes to show that we're very highly suggestible, and that's all this thing is. We've just had very high reiterations of suggestibility from the day we were born into the fiction of this world. And so I'm always saying, take away language, take away concepts. If at all your mind allows you to do that, then what would you have? Imagine you're an alien coming from a constellation vastly different to ours, coming down onto planet Earth, and his boss saying to him, what's down there? What do you see down there? And he's going, nothing. I don't see anything. I just see a mist. Because that's all that there would be if he came from a completely different dimension of what was supposed to be solid or not, you see. And so, this is just a very particular, very thin sliver of vibration. And it's vibration that holds everything together in a certain frequency. And Nikola Tesla, is renowned for saying everything is vibration frequency. And once we get our heads around that, then we'll have a much better understanding of the nature of things. Energy, frequency and vibration. And that's what quantum physicists tell us. It's all energy, frequency and vibration. And the very virtue of physical matter just derive out of higher or lower frequencies, you see. Now, let's say water is a low frequency. Well, it's not solid, is it? A high frequency where everything's really sticking together and vibrating faster, I suppose, like solid things like trees and things like that. Well, so high and low frequencies. And we're somewhere in between, aren't we? Because we're not as solid as trees, but we're not as, pliable as water. So we've got all these variances. But if we consider that we are supernatural beings, and for those of you, and more and more people are starting to get involved and tell their stories of having out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, supernatural experiences, entheogenic or psychedelic experiences, there's a whole myriad of experiences that we can have which will tell us that we are not the physical body. We are in actual fact a supernatural, ethereal type energy. That's what we are. Consciousness, that's what we are. That's what's going on here, people. And so I always say this, and I have to keep saying it because I get so many new viewers. But if you imagine you dreaming of a nighttime, and in your head, in your consciousness, in your unconscious, there is a mini you called a homunculus. And this mini you, you are watching this mini you living and having an experience with all different sorts of other beings which are created by your consciousness, and they are very often condensations, amalgamations of different facets of what is happening in your life. And so, for instance, I dream of famous people very often. We all do, don't we? A couple of weeks ago, I was best friends with Joe Rogan, and his wife was in love with me. And it was very surreal and absolutely crystal clear and technicolor, like I was having an existence in another reality, in a quantum many worlds reality. And when, again, quantum physicists tell us that, this hypothesis of many worlds, it stands up to scrutiny, and, it's highly probable, and, if the brightest people on the planet come up with these things, then, it's feasible for us to start to conjoining a few of our things, because look, what happens when we dream? There's something supernatural going on, isn't it? It isn't what we would call natural. There's no substance to it. It's just imagination. Whose imagination? We can't even say it's our imagination, because we dream of things which are very, very absurd that we would never dream of doing in the daydream, would we? We would never daydream of doing those things, like having sex with our boss's wife on the table in the office, or murdering our neighbour, or whatever. All these things, but we can dream of it. And so Freud used to say that our dreams are wish fulfillment, in some sort of fantasy realm, because it satiates our ego. And if we can dream about killing our neighbour because we can't stand them, then we get some sort of satiation from that. And maybe we'll get some sort of guilt complex from it, and then we'll go, no, I don't really want to kill him. I suppose I best not kill him, and or her, all this sort of thing. And so, dreams serve a purpose in that realm. But when we do dream, when we create other beings, and we think it's so real, well, we think this world is so real. Walking down here, some of us, I don't, but you stop a man in the street and they'll tell you, of course, this is real. And then you say to them, well, but when you dream at night, you think that's also very real, don't you? And they'll go, well, yeah, but that's different. That's dreaming, because I know it's a dream because I wake up. Well, you just haven't woken up from this dream. Like some of us have. Like I've woken up from this dream, and that's why I know it's a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream within a dream. It's all dreams in Russian dolls, people. And so, you know, we can see that there's so many variances of human consciousness, and some of them are so steadfast in their propaganda and their belief systems and their indoctrination that they could never get their heads around concepts like what I'm speaking about. But I'm assuming now that lots of you can, because you've been drawn to this channel which speaks about the supernatural. So welcome. I've been speaking about the supernatural for 15 years, people. And I've had approximately 300 psychedelic experiences. I've learned how to astral project, to leave my body and go into the astral realm. I've had lots of spontaneous supernatural experiences. I've had angels visit me. I've had Jehovah chastise me. I've had Jesus come and show me physically what unconditional love is. I've had many, many things. I've had the devil offering me to end my life whenever I want to. You know, I've had him enticing me for months on end. And so I write about all this in my very, very powerful book, which some people like to tell stories about. But for those of you that are interested in the things I say, and you know why I say the things I say, then you know for £20 you can purchase my book. Now, if you want to purchase the title A Journey to the Self, which is my preferred title now, I've changed it, but there is another one still available, which is Closer to God, and that one's £25 or dollars, and the other one's 20, simply because the second edition is less pages. It's less pages and it's a slightly smaller volume. They've condensed it. They took out the unnecessary gaps in text. I used to have, let's say, 2 lines between each paragraph, but on the second print they took that out and they only put 1. So it saved paper, you know, and it saved printing costs. So you can order those books, and the link is in the description of every one of my videos. But getting involved in the supernatural, people, I think that's the way forward, and I think it's inevitable, because we are becoming so disenchanted with what it is to be a human being in societies which have been conjured up and created by nefarious energies, solely derived to contain our consciousness and extract our life force. That's what it is, isn't it? At the end of the day, we've been beguiled, we've been lied to, we've been cheated, and all along the road we've been offered the trinkets of the devil, but we've sold our soul, you see. They've asked us to sell our soul, and every time we sign on the dotted line, we sign away our life force, we sign away our freedoms, we sign away the opportunity to do so many things. For instance, if you sign on the dotted line for a mortgage, which your obligation is for 25 years, you're going to be paying this, that and the other, and if you don't, they're going to come back and take everything that you've got. Well, you know, are you free then to travel the world? Are you free to do all different sorts of jobs? Are you free not to do any job? Are you free just to go and be a surfing bum, you know, on Bondi Beach in Australia? No, you're not, are you? Because you signed a contract with the devil, people. And so lots of people are realising they've signed these contracts with the devil, and the devil is always sitting on their shoulder or looking over their shoulder. And you know, great realisation, the great waking up is coming about for some of us. And so when you start realising that you are in actual fact supernatural entities, and this fiction of this world doesn't hold anything over you, then you can start making more choices and being more free. And so me, for instance, some of you may think, oh, this guy, he looks like some sort of a vagabond. He looks like something you'd find, you know, under a sleeping bag on Skid Row. But what you're seeing here is, you know, a very experienced, educated, intelligent, well-travelled person. I've had many of my own businesses, and I was in the matrix and I was very successful. Owning businesses with many employees and reaping all the riches, until I had my egoic implosion, my spiritual awakening 15 years ago, which changed everything. And now I live in a rented accommodation on government welfare. My choice. I've worked it to a position whereby I'm very comfortable with what I have, and to be quite frank, I think I'm the envy of many, many billions of people. Living like a king every single day with the freedoms that you know, one would expect an awakened human being to experience and to have at their disposal. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm always appealing to my viewers to engage a little bit. Tell me and the other viewers some of your stories. Let's just get engaged with each other. Let's just see what each other is about, because just keeping stum, just floating from video to video to video and never engaging with anybody, it doesn't add, does it? All it does is just allows things to stay the same. But if you put a little bit of something in and somebody goes, wow, this person's had this experience and that sounds really cool, and I feel more free now to tell my experience, then all of a sudden everyone's telling their experience and nobody feels mad anymore. We're all embracing our supernatural cosmic genius, and that's what we should start to be thinking now. Instead of thinking that we are this character on our passports or on our driver's licenses and this number is our number, forget all that stuff. We're supernatural beings having an earth experience via the dream of cosmic consciousness, people. That's what we are. So